Hi, my name is Harmon, and this is Zach, and we're here to talk heart to heart. We're at Beis Shuva, and I'm in the process of transition. So I'm here with Zach today to talk to him about his transition, and hope that you could share some of the trials and tribulations and the struggles that you've had.
Yeah, be my pleasure, man.
All right.
Shoot, ask away.
The first thing I want to talk about is what led you, like the last 5 or 6 days before you came to Beis Shuva. If you could talk about that, kind of.
I could certainly talk about that. There was a long road, a windy road, sort of getting to that point. But the days before I came to Beis Shuva, I was actually incarcerated. I lost everything that I owned on an external level, and certainly was bankrupt on an internal level as well. And I had talked to Carrie Newman in the alternative sentencing department, about coming to Beit Shuva upon my release. I'd heard a lot about it. It was a Jewish community. It was a Jewish treatment center. And I was pretty concerned, having been sort of alienated from my roots as a Jewish man, about coming to treatment here and them slapping a yarmulke on my head and telling me to stand and fall in line and chant. And so I sort of didn't know what to expect. But it was a pivotal moment when I walked out of the gates of county jail, and right there was my whole life that I'd known, or at least the remnants of it. The street life, the people I grew up with, people in my neighborhood, the only sort of connections I had, and I could either go back to that or I could take a leap of faith into the unknown. And I essentially boarded a blue bus from San Francisco with a small black trash bag with my property and everything I owned, and came to the unknown, to Beit Shuva. Yeah.
Okay, so I had a similar experience. Now, can you talk about when you first got to the shuv? Because for me, it took about 2 weeks. I had to have a coming to God moment,
Come to Moses moment.
Come to Moses moment, exactly. It was really challenging. The first 2 weeks, I was definitely in resistance. I wanted to leave. I thought I was dying. Those first few weeks are pretty challenging. I had support from my family and friends, but can you talk about your first few weeks, and did you have a breakthrough when you got here, and what was that like?
Yeah, so I don't identify sort of with the concept of a drastic spiritual awakening or a sort of white light moment or seeing a Red Sea part or a burning bush. What I identify most with is sort of this internal shift that takes hold after a lot of repetition and a lot of hard work, learning new behaviors, buying in, right? Sort of taking direction and trusting the process. And as far as resistance goes, I think resistance is a natural part of the process as well. So to just help people, normalize that, like you're gonna feel resistant. This is life altering, and it's change on an exponential level that I certainly wasn't used to. But all I had to do was sort of show up and just listen and watch other people and watch what their feet were doing. Not even so much what people were saying, but I watched people that had been walking this path for a while, and I tried to emulate that, and they modeled what recovery looked like in this community, and I just tried to follow that lead. But resistant, yeah, sure, I didn't want to get up and go to every Torah study, and like I said, I didn't know what I was getting into when I signed up for this place. I walked in the front door, and I had a backwards San Francisco Giants baseball hat on. And for those of you that have been around here, that David Bear was the first person that I encountered when I walked through the front door, and he said, "Oh, fucking Giants fan, turn that hat around." And I almost turned around and walked out the door and got back on that bus, man.
It sounds like I really like the analogy that you made of following people that have been down this path, watching what they do. It sounds like an exercise regimen. You know what I mean? You work out, it's going to be tough. Can you talk about your has exercise and health played a role in your recovery? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Being physically active has helped sort of awaken my spirit and help me, but I learned that from here. Like I said, the process of maintenance and regimen and routine, crucial in terms of maintaining recovery, long term. And I learned that sort of structure here. And the thing is, when you sort of move, like you're in the process of transition, primary care, when you finish up primary care and you're moving towards extended care, and then when you transition out of this program, right, you're going to have multiple things that are added to your plate. And it's all about balance, right? Some of these things you have to do, and hopefully your perspective is that you get to do them, right? And with that being said, there's going to be other things that you'll get to add to your plate by choice, things that fill your spirit. And for me, that's all about being a part of something bigger than myself. And like I said, I learned that here, having a seat at the table, having a voice, getting out of self. For me, addiction, alcoholism, criminality, these are all issues of self. And until I could detach from that and be a part of the whole, I could never get well. right? So for me, being in nature, going hiking, did a 10-mile hike in the snow yesterday, I'm part of something that's much bigger than myself, and I get to connect on, for me, what is a very deep, meaningful spiritual level. And that can be anything from going to the gym every day after work, between work and school, and like I said, getting out on the weekends with some people in my circle and getting out and just being out there and doing something that fills your spirit. And you got to find out what that looks like, because it's different for everybody. And the only way I learn is, like I said, watching what others did, trying it out and sort of seeing what fit.
Were there times when you fucked up during your transition? Like, you know what I mean? I mean, everybody has their
Woo!
challenges.
No, not me, man. I never fucked up.
Can you talk about what you learned from that, and like how can I avoid the things that you know, challenges that you had?
Well, Harmon, I think the truth is that you may not avoid some of them, because you got to fuck up, right? And
That's part of the process.
That's part of the process, too. It's about what you do when you do fuck up, right? You can stumble, and even if you fall, hopefully there'll be people around you that can help pick you up, right? But it's a matter of, if you fall forward, fail forward, right? Fall forward, or you can fail forward, and you can fail forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Harriet talks about springboard opportunities.
That's right.
Like, yeah, using my failures as opportunities to grow. And in the past, I think that's what added to my addiction and the things that I was dealing with, as opposed to seeing things as building opportunities. I would just get angry, be frustrated with myself that I failed and the world was going to collapse. But yeah, here having a treatment team has definitely made all the difference in the world, like having, opposing views. So how do you know, do you talk to people still? Like, do you still talk to therapists and counselors? Like, do you still have a group of people that you communicate with, or like, how does that work in your life?
Yeah, I 100% have a group of sober men and women, people that I can turn to, with any problem or anything that I'm struggling with, who know me intimately and I know them, and we're from different walks of life and have had many different experiences along the way, but we've bonded in that, in our journey to help with this mission here at Beit Teshuva, and also just to help grow a little bit better every single day. And that means, you have to trust, you have to be able to reach out, and you have to be open to these corrective experiences that blossom in these relationships, these intimate relationships. And
So-
that was an experience, in and of itself, was to learn to trust, to learn to be open, to ask for help, and to say, oops, I made a mistake. Rabbi Mark says 5 of the hardest words in the English language, right? To own it when I made a mistake. And sort of going back to when we're talking about failing forward, I think that for me, differentiating between guilt and shame, right? For me, I was always in my addiction, it was a shame cycle. I'm a mistake, I'm a fuck up, right?
Yeah,
Guilt
absolutely.
is, I made a mistake. Oops, I made a mistake. That's guilt. Guilt's understandable. But if I'm stuck in a place of shame where I am a mistake, then I perpetuate that cycle.
Thank you. I just want to make one thing clear. So, you were in prison. You came
County jail.
You were in county jail. You came to Beit Teshuva, and now you work here and you help people. Like, this is this really like how it's going right now?
Man, I never had any sort of career path. And as a matter of fact, I almost blew it when I had an internship here as a program facilitator. I got fired. About 3 months in, I got fired from my internship. And I was devastated, man. But I didn't go to the shame place, right? I felt guilty about what I had done. I owned it, and I made a commitment to sort of do whatever it would take to get another shot. And in the tradition of Beit Teshuva, second, third, and fourth chances for some people, they gave me another shot. And, for the first time in my life, I started to feel connected to something positive. Again, back to the idea of the whole, the greater good, something outside of me. And I had a purpose all of a sudden. I never had one. And I found that I was kind of good at it. I was kind of good at talking to people. I was kind of good at relating, at connecting to people on an authentic level. Like, I speak their language. We could do this together, and this is how you could do it if you're willing to take some direction and surrender and trust this process. So I started working, got hired as a PF, and eventually as a counselor. Went to school to get certified as an addictions counselor, and now I supervise the addiction counselors here in our extended care program, and I'm in school with the hopes of being a licensed therapist someday.
Oh, like Joseph, from prison to the throne. Well, Zach, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, brother.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.